You are listening to the ReRACEables Podcast.
Give you a nice little detour.
Good evening and welcome back to the ReRACEables Podcast for Season 37. Season 37 of The Amazing Race is here, and we are as well. I am your host, Tom. I am elated to be here tonight with two of my favorite people in the world, Nicole and Josh. Welcome in, everybody.
Thank you.
How's it going?
We are thrilled to be back here, and tonight we're going to start off this season of podcasts by talking power rankings. We count it down from this year, number 14, first time ever, to our number one team. We'll give our reasons why based on the little bits and pieces, which was...
Hard to say the least.
Yes, very difficult. But we'll still make judgments.
I don't mind so much that we're given less to go off of because it just heightens my judgments. I just love judging.
Okay. Couple burning questions. Number one, we already mentioned it. We have to talk right from the top. It's the first time in the history of the race that there are 14 teams.
Jeez.
My initial thought was, I like this. There are more teams. That means more people are getting cast. That increases our likelihood of being on the show. So that
What was that?
that means you guys don't want to be on the show? Nasty. Thoughts on 14 teams?
I think it's good because we just have more personalities to get to know, but also to quickly not know because they're going to be eliminated. We got to cut the fat real quick.
Yeah. Josh?
Yeah, I think if you think about the opposite with less teams, we have more weeks of just kind of like dead space because you have to fill the same amount of episodes. So I think with more teams, you're going to jam-pack way more information, way more action, way more things going on, maybe a double elimination, which we do know about already. It's the largest cast ever, which I think is really exciting. But in all honesty, my first thought was the crew. That means more cameras, more audio guys, more plane tickets, more everything. Bigger. We'll see if it's better. But
more planning.
More planning. Yeah, the logistics behind this just really seem like a big undertaking. And but what's exciting is that I think we can all maybe agree that last season was pretty flat, right? I think we kind of just every episode we started fresh, or every episode we were kind of just going through the same motions. What this season of surprises brings is lots and lots of turns and lots of exciting new elements of the game being brought in, which I'm really excited about.
And I'm sure that this is a response directly to the kind of flat season we had last year, where they were like, all right, we need to spice things up. What can we do?
For sure. And it's not Ricky and Cesar's fault that they won every single episode. The game must adapt. The game must evolve. And they need to try to get more people watching and keep people's interests. And I think maybe in the same vein of Survivor, listen to the fans. I saw one interview where Phil was talking about, what do the fans want? And reading what they were after and what they liked and what they wanted to see. And one of them was, I was so happy, airport! The airport drama.
We need more airport
Love
drama.
Love it.
I was so happy to read that because, although it's not really a surprise.
Thanks for listening, Phil.
Yeah, shout out Phil. Shout out listening.
Shout out.
Right? But it was great to see that. It was great to see that.
I love to think about Phil listening right now. Hi, Phil. And we know you are.
Phil, we love you.
Thank you for listening, Phil.
He said new places, airports, and mixing things up, and that's what's going to be in this season.
Speaking of mixing things up, we have a last burning question that goes along with the surprises. a season of surprises. Fast forward's back, U-turn's back, express pass is back. We will talk about those. We'll leave that for when we see it during the season. But the big one, the fork in the road. 14 teams will start. It will at the fork in the road. They have to choose either dance or sing, which will set them into 2 different 7-team paths and ultimately lead to one team getting eliminated of the 7 on each, both the dance and the sing forks in the road.
Both performing arts.
Thoughts on the fork in the road?
Josh?
Well, I at first I was excited about it. I think any kind of new element into the game is exciting to see and play around with. And then I started to think about, if I was racing the game, how would you attack this? And my first thought was, well, how many people are doing each challenge? Because you're going to want to do the one that probably has more people doing it, right? Because if 3 people go on one and 10 people go on to the other, because you don't want to be competing against 3 teams, you want to be competing against 7 teams. Higher likelihood of having a worse team in there.
Right.
But then I found out that it was 7 and 7 and you have to choose. So then if I got to that, I don't know, do you get to choose or are you told? Because if I got to choose, I would want to go either path that has least amount of teams.
If I had to
Who's
predict,
behind you?
it would be whoever gets to that fork gets to probably place their name Velcroed somewhere, and whoever fills up the first 7 spots gets to do that thing.
Sure, but if there's 3 people doing the dance and 1 person doing the sing, and you get there, which one do you choose?
The one that one person is doing.
The sing,
Correct.
yeah, absolutely,
Correct.
which is different than if you have 10
Correct.
teams can do any other thing. So then it becomes, I'm trying to think about the gameplay of it,
good.
and you
That's good.
actually are jumping ahead in the race
Right.
by choosing the other one. So this is a really big decision to choose. Now, the next element of this is, when does it happen in the season? Later in the season, I think, would be brilliant because you're having much more strategy, you're having better teams. The problem with the first episode is we always rush through everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to fit... Now we're trying to learn about 14 teams in 90 minutes. And it's hard enough just to do that.
Yep.
What we're doing now is introducing another challenge that the audience member needs to learn. And so now this whole episode, I'm preparing to just be exposition. We're just going to be learning names, and we're going to be learning what the challenges are because we've added 2 more challenges. And then you're going
They've got to be very simple challenges.
Well, but if this is a fork in the road, they're actually leading to different challenges, right? And so now what I'm thinking about is actually, this is too much. This first episode, I want to see them coming in on boats, and I want to see them, their close-ups where they're hating the wind in their face, and learn about them as people. And I think we're not going to learn about them because we're going to be focusing too much on just trying to get the storytelling and the arc of the story in. And so it's a no for me, dog.
Oh. Shout out Randy.
Shout out.
I don't know if I like it or not like it. I mean, I was kind of convinced by your argument there. But I'll tell you, the first thing that I thought of was like, this is very Survivor of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very
Jeff Probst
Survivor
got a call.
influence. Yes.
There was a call, or they would take them pages out of the Survivor book.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because now instead of you competing against everybody, it's this like sublet of that. And will alliances be formed in those teams that chose the same thing early on? Maybe enemies will be formed early on. Who knows? We shall see.
It feels to me like the difference between having a Survivor season with 2 tribes versus 3 tribes. When you have the 2 tribes, the voting it can be very boring because it's, that's the easy vote, they're not pulling their weight, or whatever the reason is, and it's a 9-1 vote. That person's out.
Yeah.
With The Amazing Race, it's, all right, we just have to beat 1 team.
True.
And the other 13, they can just do whatever they want. Now, it's been split. So now it's 2 Amazing Races going on at once.
Yeah.
And so you have to beat, it's a final 7 leg in the first episode. It's like having this tribe of 6. There's nowhere to hide. And that's what I like about it. And I think what's also happening and it's a page out of Survivor's book, is that like the game design is elevated. And I don't think they've really done anything like this.
And just to compare it to Survivor, Survivor had this new era.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of shifted the show.
Absolutely.
And Amazing Race, COVID affected them in a different way.
Yes.
And they got hit hard by COVID because of all the restrictions with travel and then just inherently all the restrictions with making a show about travel.
Yeah.
And so understandably, but like I feel like they haven't found their stride post-COVID. And hopefully this will be the season that sparks that.
Yeah, just to add, the last thing would be you are getting rid of the two worst teams right off the bat, right? So your immediately second episode is way harder than the other season's second episode. So you're already starting to cut to the chase, which I do like. I do like the double elimination to get going. While talking about the fork in the road, I think we should also add that they are talking about possible addition of the double elimination, which we know about, the intersection, which was last seen in season 16, and the fast forward, which was last seen in season 29. How are you feeling about bringing back these past things that were used? And frankly, I forgot what the intersection was, but it was teams working with other teams to get past the challenge. Fascinating, right? We've also seen the fast forward be really great and also really terrible. There's probably a reason why they got rid of it. How do you feel about bringing it back?
I feel really good about it because I feel like production went into a meeting and everything was on the table.
Yeah.
They put everything in their arsenal on the table and said, what do we like? What do the fans like? And they probably responded, fast forward! We used to have it every episode. Then we only had like one or two. It's like, can we have one?
Yeah.
Bring it back.
And fast forward brought us some of the most memorable moments where people are putting on the line, what are you willing to do for the race?
Yeah.
Whether it be shave your head, get a tattoo, whatever it is. Amazing. Very entertaining television.
Into it, I think there's one other thing that we wanted to say that was kind of an interesting piece of it was that there was no like major celebrities in this cast. There's no major reality TV stars.
Everybody's here for the right reasons.
Here for the right reason.
Shout out Bachelor the Musical. Well, I would actually counter that. I would say, to me, not having celebrities actually makes the whole season more relatable. I feel like I could be friends with any of them. Maybe not all of them, but I would say I'm way more close to be friends with this season than maybe D'Angelo Williams.
Shout out D'Angelo.
So I think that there's something about connection in this season that feels like anyone could be us.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think it's also good to not have like professional reality TV people on it.
What if it was Boston Rob?
Well, I mean, that's just another level. Phil,
shout out Boston Rob.
Right, who had it 5 minutes into episode 1? I mean, could we get him and Dylan from the Traders? There's a little bit of a groundswell.
Please, we need to see them together on the race.
That would be amazing. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, the way we do this ranking system is we have, again, 14 to 1, and each one is worth that value of points. So if I put a team at number 14, they're worth 14 points. If they get eliminated, great. That 14 comes off my score, which we add up 1 all the way to 14. We get a score. Whoever has the low score, by removing people once they get eliminated, it's kind of like golf. Low score wins. Last year's champion, our reigning champion, was Josh with a low score of 16. Give it up for Josh.
Thank you.
He beat out Nicole and I, who tied with a low score of 21.
Wow. I think with Ricky and Cesar, that really shows the sense of that this is just a judgment episode. We're not really basing much on much. We're kind of giving what Phil told us. We're giving a little bit of social media and their occupation, their relationship, and what they look like, and their age. But I think past that, that's all we can do. Base this off of.
I'll start. I'm going with Mark and Larry, the retired best friend firefighters from Tennessee. I look at them, first of all, couldn't find anything on them in social media land because they're 59 and 63, because they're firefighters. I appreciate that they are best friends, that they have a good relationship. I think they'll work well together. But at the end of the day, Larry's never been outside the United States.
Yep.
So if you've never been outside the United States and you're over 55, I have a hard time putting you anywhere outside of the no chance category. I got Mark and Larry at number 14.
Number 14, I have Han and Holden.
Whoa!
That's surprising to
you?
I thought that would be a predictable last choice.
Go on.
So, for Han and Holden, I am just getting deja vu of, what are the names? You know who I'm thinking
Maya and Rohan.
Thank you. They are Asian Maya and Rohan. They are the same person, just male and female version of each other. They look the same. They're just the same person. They're students. They're young. They're Gen Zers. Okay? I don't have a lot of faith in Gen Z. Sorry.
Bang.
I'm sure that they have plenty of book smarts, being that they went to Stanford, but I'm just going to this is very judgmental, but that's what we're doing. I don't think they have any street smarts.
Go.
They are non-athletes. Look at them. Okay? Again, judgmental. Sorry, Han and Holden. The last thing is a promotional video I saw her describing her brother as annoying. Come on. And they said that they don't work well together. Okay? That's how you're going into the Amazing Race? Saying, he's annoying and we don't work well together? You're getting last place.
Bang. Josh, number 14.
My 14 is Jackie and Lauren, 51-year-old, 61-year-old, a talent acquisition architect and a corporate event strategist. For me, I don't really see those as applicable skills. I do see them as a bit older, and I also see their photo as a heart. And that, to me, just shows that they're here for a good time and not here to win the game or play. Their mom wanted to travel after retirement and then got Parkinson's, which is really sad. And so these sisters are now saying we want to travel, although they seem a bit older in their life. So they're there to take on new challenges. They do seem to encourage each other and bring some heartfelt moments, but I just don't see them doing much. And I think that they're going to just be so kind of happy to be there that they don't really compete in any meaningful way.
13, I had Jackie and Lauren. I agree, except what locked me, for all the same reasons, but what really locked in the 13th spot for me was the large hoop earrings. Not practical for a serious racer.
Great call.
Okay? Those are hazardous.
Great call.
Something could get locked into that and pulled and dangerous. A serious racer who is really competitive is not wearing those earrings. And for that reason, she's number 13.
Absolutely. Yeah, and going back to my 13 is Mark and Larry. They're retired firefighters. I do see them as a bit older. They did go coast to coast on their motorcycles, which is interesting. In terms of cool guys, right? Like sleeping, travel. They probably have good work ethic. They were firefighters, physical nature.
Sense of adventure until he said he's never been outside the U.S. And I was like, okay, maybe not so much adventure. They're probably from smaller towns. I never heard of these towns. They're dedicated and caring. I think Phil even said one of them started crying when they were talking about each other, how good friends they are, which is really admirable. But again, I I don't see them as competitors.
For number 13, I got the Lumberjacks, Pops and Jeff. I mean, they seem like amazing guys. Great relationship. I like that. Lumberjacks, they're bragging that they can climb a tree. I mean, I don't see singing with these two. I don't necessarily see dancing. I see big physical strength, which may make it easier for them if they get far enough to make decisions on what roadblocks or who will do a roadblock or who will do what detour they'll do. But I just think that eventually it'll kind of expose them. Kind of gives me like the whole Noodlers guy vibe. And
although they got pretty far, right?
No, they were out in the first episode.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
But I think I really like. Yeah. Shout out Cody and Nate. I think I'm gonna really like these guys.
You're thinking of the other two clowns, bearded men.
Oh, Joel and Garrett.
Yes, Joel and Garrett. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know. Pops, he looks great at 65, but 65 is 65.
He is jacked,
people at 65, Lumberjack.
His
I see
arms
him
are the size of my thighs.
I know, but that's not going to help you at an airport.
Fair.
I think it just puts a lot on the son, and I have other people that I'm betting on over him to carry the team. Number 12, I have Melinda and Erica, the mother-daughter from Arizona and Colorado. I was going off of social media imprints, played a role in my rankings, probably more so than ever before. When you looked up Melinda, it was a picture, her profile picture was a picture with her and two dogs.
Is that the mom?
That's the mom. She's probably the sweetest person you've ever met. She's probably very lovely. Erica, too, seems very lovely, but, I mean, one picture from the cast, it was the photo. There was, like, one thing that they had about, like, the day before they left. If I'm reading the tea leaves there, I'm just not picking up what the modern race is, which is, like, this social media presence and connection with each other. I'm just not very confident when the quote is, she's 65 and we don't have a whole lot of time anymore.
It's interesting because I feel like you've been ageist towards the older people, and I've been ageist towards the Gen Z people. All right, I have Carson and Jack at number 12. These are the game streamers. They're self-proclaimed huge nerds.
How does that play into your ranking of them?
These are, again, non-athletes. Okay? A Dungeons and Dragons guy is not going to be the kind of guy that's going to be able to haul heavy things, nor are they going to be musical or be able to carry out choreography. They may have very good fine motor skills because of their video gaming, but I don't have a lot of faith in anything else.
Yep.
Also, Gen Z. Both of them. We'll see how they fare with adversity in the race, okay?
Josh, number 12.
My number 12 is Bernie and Carrigan. They're friends. They call themselves besties, but they also live in two different cities, which is where some of my hesitation is. Sometimes you perceive your friend from childhood to be different than they actually are.
Oh.
And I think they might have some struggles. Phil said that they have short fuses and they let it out on each other and that they need to stay calm. I think that they're probably just going to fizz out very early. I think they're going to get mad at each other. I think they're not going to communicate well. And they do look fit. They look physically fit, but also I worry about their communication skills.
Number 11, another team that was hard for me to place. I put Courtney and Jasmine, the dating nurses from Leland, North Carolina. There's no social media profile. I had to find some local news coverage about them to find any real information out.
Doing the real research, Tom.
You know what? We're trying here at the ReRACEables. We're a professional organization. I found out they're Duke University nursing students. They became COVID Amazing Race fans. They applied twice and got cast, so they did something right in casting for sure. They love to travel, which I like, which helped me put them a little bit farther up. I don't see a tenacity. I don't see like a competitive edge to them. You gotta show me a competitive drive.
Yeah.
You gotta be like totally invested. Like this is a dream come true.
Fair.
Courtney and Jasmine, number 11.
For my number 11, I have Ernest and Bridget, the father-daughter duo. He's a retired Chicago PD. He looks fit enough, even though he's older. She does not seem like an athlete. I didn't have a lot to go off of with them. This is just purely judgment. They just seem kind of not weak enough to lose, but they're definitely not going to win.
11, I have Scott and Lori. He's a physician assistant, and she is a stay-at-home mom. They are the Salt Lake City possible Mormons that have 8 kids. Grew up in a wild and loud household. I read that they have not been able to get out because they've spent their whole life raising children, and this is their chance to get out. And to me, that just shows that they are kind of sheltered and probably don't know how to communicate other than logistics, honestly. What needs to happen with the kids today, what's going on. And so I just don't see them communicating well or being physically fit or really getting far.
I'm going to go with number 10. Josh, you mentioned them. You had them at number 12. I could have went with this team at number 12 also, but I landed on them at number 10. Is Bernie and Carrigan, the friends.
Yep.
The whole like, hey, she's my bestie.
Yeah.
And that whole energy. Bernie is going to be, quote, doing the crazy things, kind of the neurotic one. And Carrigan's kind of the level-headed one. I think we've seen this before. They kind of remind me of a little bit about Michelle and Victoria from 32. The one was kind of off the wall, and the other one was the straight and narrow. And I think it works, but only for so long. Like, I don't know. When I see somebody like Bernie that says that their brain is kind of scattered and all over, I see heightened emotion potential, and this is a grind. This is a marathon. It's not one leg and that's it. So when I hear like that's kind of her way of behaving, I gotta put you in the bottom category.
Yeah.
Next, I have Courtney and Jasmine, the women of faith. So for the same reasons Tom put them as number 11. But in addition, just, again, going strictly off of judgment. They just don't look like they could run fast for a long time. I don't know how far faith can really take you on the race.
Agreed. It was hard to put them any higher. Josh, number 10.
Yeah, that's a great point. Number 10, I have Melinda and Erica. We've spoken about them. Mom is 66 years old, and Erica's 32. I think you have these struggle between mother-daughter. They've never actually won an amazing race.
Really?
Yep. They would be the first mother-daughter team to win. Oh. So I can't really see them. Yeah, they are kind of a no chance. Number 9, I have Jonathan and Anna. Jonathan is a software developer. Anna's a 35-year-old stay-at-home mom. They're married parents, but they were on again and off again. I've read that Jonathan is really, really harsh on himself, harsh on them, right? Like if he comes in second place, he's the first loser. It's the way he thinks. Being on and off again feels like a fiery communication level dynamic.
It was Amazing Race that brought them back together.
That is. They almost broke up. Amazing Race brought their marriage back together. They were brought back together by watching The Amazing Race, not by running on The Amazing Race. Phil said that they have the most interesting dynamic he's ever seen, which I think is really interesting. So I'm fascinated by seeing them. However, I will state what I stated off the mic. Interesting is such a loaded word. It could just mean that he is actually terrible to her, and that is not something that I want to watch on TV.
Why will they fail? Because you think Jonathan will implode?
Yeah. I think that they've actually not worked out their issues, and that their marriage is still on the brink, and they think that being on The Amazing Race is going to fix everything, but Jonathan is actually too hot-headed, and he's gonna implode them.
I'm going to go with my number 9 next. I have the purple team, Jackie and Lauren, the sisters from Waco, Texas, the Amazing Sisters. If there was an award for the pre-race build-up winners, this is the team.
Based on social media?
Based on social media.
Oh, wow.
They made videos about the call from casting. They made a video about the day before they left. Packing. Training montages. Like, they're all in on that, and it's like, maybe it's fool's gold. Maybe it's just hook, line, and sinker. They bought me in. Maybe I'm just rooting for them. Again, it's head versus heart here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that purple color, because purple has success. There's just a great track record of purple having success. I count Maya and Rohan. They were lavender. I don't know. I just really like these two. I think that they're going to be a good hang. I think people would want to work with them. And last thing, they're fun. I want to root for this team. I want to see them go, deep into this. I think if they can do that, will be a better season for it, because they just seem entertaining. There's my first having my heart over my head. Jackie and Lauren, number 9. Nicole, number 9.
Number 9, I have Pops and Jeff. The Lumberjacks, clearly these are going to be the men that lift things up and put them down. But in addition, the reason I didn't put them lower, I think the dad has swagger.
Wow.
There's a little twinkle in his eye that tells me he has rhythm. He's going to be able to tackle a dance challenge.
We're going to find out in episode 1.
I hope so. I hope I'm right, and I can't wait to be right. But
Okay.
that's my judgments.
Number 8, for a couple episodes category, fully in there now, I have Ernest and Bridget, the father and daughter. I just think that the police officer and daughter is a good combo. I think seems like I can't tell if they're more Mike and Mo, Derek and Shalisa, Mike and Mo, from Amazing Race. I can't tell if they're more like Ronald and Christina.
That's
from way
it.
back.
That's it.
And
How do you pull out these names? Like,
this is the ReRACEables Podcast. This is what we do.
can't believe it.
No, I don't think they're going to be a lot of glitz and glamour in this team. I think they're just going to be methodical, and I'm believing in Bridget. I'm believing in Bridget to be young and energetic and be able to help navigate where her dad will be able to be the one to pick things up and put it down. And, if he works well with her and lets her kind of lead, which I think this is where that goes, I could see them sticking around for a little while.
Number 8, I have Jonathan and Anna. They seem fit, both of them. I don't like the hiccup in their marriage. Held me back from placing them any higher than 8. Anna may or may not speak Spanish.
She does.
She does. Oh!
Yes.
Big.
So I think that is always an asset on the race.
Especially last season. It
Right.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
So
crazy.
that's why I placed them there.
Number 8, I have the gamers. Carson and Jack. I actually think that their Dungeons and Dragons gaming is going to be strategic. If they play games for a living, I think that part of this race is a game. They're going to be very thoughtful. They are nerdy, but I think they're smart. And I think they're going to try to use that advantage. I don't see them as physical threats. I also don't see them as like overweight, right? So I don't think they're going to win in a race, but maybe against someone who's 61 years old, they could win. I think their connection to each other is interesting. They're best friends. And I guess if they're gamers, they must work together. Is that right? Like,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So there's something about that, like knowing each other on a personal level, but also knowing each other on a work level. And on top of that, choosing each other, right? Like you're not siblings, you're not related. So I think that that's really interesting because they have a strategic gaming mind that they're going to be decently strong. So I have them as number 8, about halfway.
Next up, number 7, I have Melinda and Erica. I just didn't have much to even judge them on.
Hardly anything.
Yeah.
So that's how I landed like middle of the way, just because I didn't know if they'd be really good or really bad. I think they're just kind of mediocre people. You know, they seem smart enough, athletic enough, and that's all I really had to go off of.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Erica was some super fan, like a Danny and Angie, Team Wild.
Right, right.
If we would have heard or read that Erica was some super gigantic fan, I think that would have justified or maybe even a higher ranking, but I couldn't get them out of that bottom tier.
My number 7 is Courtney and Jasmine, who I think I have them the highest ranked out of all of us.
Yep.
I actually thought what was interesting about them, for me, a lot of this ranking was about their relationships and how they would communicate. And what's really interesting about them is that they knew each other for a really long time, and they didn't necessarily start dating. So they've worked together. I guess they never really saw each other as compatible, but over time, their evolution of like love and being closer to each other grew them together. And that they're chosen for, like, this is another chosen relationship versus forced into a relationship. I think Phil said that they're good at working things out and with a smile. And I think having that lightheartedness will get you far in the race while also wanting to win. I do, as you said, you mentioned that they are people of faith and people of a higher being, and maybe reality TV isn't their goal, which I think is really, really valid.
Yeah.
But I do see them as strong communicators, as good work ethic, and chosen partners for each other. And that's why I see them getting to number 7, but I don't think they're going to get further than that.
My number 7 is Nicole's number 14. So here we go.
Here we go.
Han and Holden.
Wow.
Or should I call them by their Instagram handle? At Team Asian Swag.
Yes!
Wow.
Team Asian Swag!
So they even share one Instagram handle.
Well, a lot of the teams, and this is where social media played a role in it, the big thing is that these teams will make a team name and therefore make a team account.
Oh.
Right? Ricky and Cesar had a team account. Will and James, same thing.
Okay.
So teams tend to do that now. It's a thing they do. Maybe to separate their personal lives from the race, which makes sense.
The race is personal.
Well, that's right. So, I mean, social media helped you learn a lot about Han and Holden. They've got posted photos where they're noogieing each other, but then also hugs as children. So, like, there's a good brother-sister relationship here, it seems. And, like, to hear them say that the other one's annoying, like, I don't love that. And that's why I have them in maybe they're my first sleeper, right? They could win this. Because it's not like they're
You
not
think they could win this?
I think they're intelligent enough to do it. I think that they're driven enough. Like, again, they have a greater mission as to why they're doing this. Which I think goes back to, like, competitiveness, which is something that I value in ranking teams. They literally stated a mission in a post that said, Asians aren't one-dimensional. In addition to being lawyers and doctors, we are also artists, athletes, and cool-ass people.
Wow.
Asians are swag. Now,
I love how much they love being Asian.
Yeah.
They've got Asian pride for sure.
first of all, I think this goes to that whole Gen Z thing. And I don't, as a teacher, and I teach kids that are in middle school, they are of a different generation, and I try to connect with them, and I try to understand them. And maybe Han and Holden will be a little bit of a window into that. I'm hoping for that, actually. I don't really refer to things as swag that often.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you said Pops has swag, that I can understand.
He's got swagger.
Yeah, he's got swagger. Right, he doesn't have swag.
Not swag.
Maybe there's
Don't
a
get it
difference.
twisted.
Well, maybe there's a big difference. I thought it was interesting, like, they're doing photo shoots, which I think is becoming a new thing also from what I'm seeing on the social media end. This is like where they're sitting back to back and they're each holding a newspaper and one of them says Asian painted, like the word Asian, and the other one has swag on it. So they're like,
Oh my god.
I'm not sure what that means, but I think we're going to find out through this race.
Yep.
And I also thought it was interesting that like they labeled Holden as not just a student, but as a Stanford student.
Well.
Maybe not so humble brag to throw Stanford out there.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I mean, I would if I went to Stanford, right? Kind of makes me think like maybe these two have got a little something that'll keep them in for halfway through the race.
Could you see them at 5?
Yeah.
Could you see them at 4?
No.
That's
5
the
I think would be a stretch. Kind of like in the vein of like an Aparna and Ishwar. Remember them?
Yeah.
Brother, sister, really smart,
That's really
dynamic.
good. Yeah.
They actually finished 5th, but like I remember that because I got it right. I had them 5th. But so I landed on Han and Holden, number 7. Shout out Team Asian Swag.
My number 6 is Mark and Larry,
Oh my gosh.
the retired firefighters. And I'm going to tell you why.
You better sell us on these guys.
All right, these two. First of all, they're strong. Even though they're a little on the older side, they are strong. Okay? They've been BFFs for 40 years.
Okay.
They've got a strong relationship, a lot of history there.
True, too.
And what really made me put them in this spot, they rode on motorcycles coast to coast.
You love that.
Okay? Let me tell you why. There's no GPS involved in riding a motorcycle
I like this angle.
coast to
Josh.
coast.
I
Okay?
still like them at 14, but I like
They
them.
are going to be, I think, the best navigators.
Okay.
Wow.
A generation. So
Yeah.
devaluing Gen Z,
Yeah.
valuing baby boomer.
Yes.
Okay.
They know how to read a map.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a great point.
It is a great.
Thank you.
It is.
Wow, Mark! Shout out to Mark and Larry.
Uh-huh.
Get
You're
some respect.
underestimating them. I'm telling you right now.
Save that clip.
Save that. Mark and Larry, number 6.
Even though they've been only in the United States, I think they're going to figure it out.
Do they give you any Joel and Garrett vibes?
No.
Are you like, so you're not betting on the Joel and Garrett? Like we kind of undervalued them.
Yeah.
2 guys that kind of look like
yes.
the beard and the mustache, bro. You know.
Yeah, sure. They're not going to win, but they're capable.
But you like this team.
I like them.
All right, this is a hard pick.
A little bit,
Okay.
yes.
That's okay. Number 6, I actually fell in love with this team.
Wow.
And because I'm betting on the one member of this team significantly. I'm betting on this person's energy, their enthusiasm, I think unique relationship and journey in life, and the skill sets that have helped them navigate that when applied to anything else, I think it'll seem easier because they've had 8 sons. They've raised 8 sons. Let me repeat that, which is insanity. I'm going in my sleeper category.
Wow.
Scott and Lori,
Wow.
the married parents from Salt Lake City, Utah. Scott's he's got clear frame glasses, first of all. Okay?
Tom
Love
has very strong opinions
Love
about
it.
people with clear frame
it. It
glasses.
says something. It says something about Scott. It does. The guy he's a physician assistant, and his wife Lori is a stay-at-home mom. So that tells me he's the breadwinner, and they're able to somehow raise 8 kids. I commented on Lori's post something about like, how do you do pizzas? And she gave me the explanation, and they do this, that, the other. They beg, borrow,
Wow.
they make it happen. That's what I got out of it. Doesn't matter what they do. They make it happen. Because how do you have pizza for 10 people? How do you do anything with 10 people? They're doing it with 10 people day in and day out. That's problem solving. That's troubleshooting. That's cutting to the chase. That's planning, organization. I guarantee you Lori is the most like type A, on top of stuff all day long, keeping stuff going. Their way of looking at having 8 sons, it's wild, it's loud, it's awesome. They have like this zest for life, which I love. Social media wise, Lori is she is throwing darts at the board.
Whoa.
She's got a website, LoriIsFabLife.com. Okay.
And she runs a website?
Multiple. There's another one, Lori's Bucket List.
Oh.
She describes herself as a Utah-based influencer on life and motherhood. You know, and that About Us.
Shout out Lori's website.
Yes.
Wow.
Mom, wife, adventure seeker.
You sold me.
Okay. Sleepers. Don't sleep on the pink team from Utah.
Wow.
Okay, on the website.
So you think she's going to carry the team?
She's a rock star.
Yeah.
I think she's
I
a
agree.
rock star.
I agree.
I wanted to put them number 1. I wanted to. I couldn't get
What
there.
stopped you?
I couldn't get there. 47, 49. There's some strong teams here.
Yeah.
But like I love them in the 6th spot. I love them as a sleeper. I could see them winning. And their personality is just fun. I believe in them because they've been through 25 years of marriage. I believe in them because they've been through raising 8 kids. Her with the websites and being an influencer, the hats, the Sherpa coats, the vlogs, the charm, the energy. And oh, by the way, Scott has lost 100 pounds.
Oh.
And Lori has lost 70 pounds.
Wow.
In like the last relatively short period of time.
Wow.
These people have a new lease on life, and this is their, who knows what they're getting away, their bucket list, their relationships never been stronger. They are, to me, I love this team. I loved Scott and Lori. I wanted to put them higher, but I had to contain myself.
Wow.
Scott and Lori, number 6. How about that?
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you sell it. Shout out Scott and Lori. You
I
jealous of that?
No, I have the ranked higher, but
Okay.
we'll get to that.
Okay. Josh, number 6.
Number 6, I have Pops and Jeff. They're physically really, really fit. I think he might be one of the most physically fit 65-year-old people I've ever seen in my life. To me, they probably have the strongest physical game out of all of the teams. But I do worry, or I do not have insight into their street smarts, right, or their sense of navigation. But I'm relying on the sense of age equals wisdom, and I see Pops as being a strong person as well as Jeff. So I have them 6.
Number 5, I have Bernie and Carrigan.
Wow. Sell us on that one.
All right, so we've got a personal trainer, obviously fit. Carrigan, I think Carrigan is the one who is a spa educator.
Yes.
I like that she's an educator.
Yes.
Okay? We value educators here on ReRACEables
Shout out
Podcast.
educators.
I noticed that there was a henna-looking tattoo, so she's cultural, worldly, perhaps.
Okay.
This is judgments here.
Yeah.
Judgments are talking. I did not like the fighting that I witnessed in the promo. I think there's going to be a lot of drama here with them, but perhaps this is like one of those teasers that they put that's just misleading.
Yeah.
It was a brief moment of weakness that they bickered a little, but maybe it's not a really big deal.
So you're buying that maybe that bickering is drive and motivation.
Yes.
And let's go.
They both care so much about the race and are passionate enough to argue about something. Okay?
Okay.
I also want to pick up on a very subtle thing that neither of you noticed.
About Bernie and Carrigan?
Yes.
What do you got?
Me. If you look at their picture, bring the picture up.
Okay, here we go.
Look at their socks.
Oh, yeah.
They have socks that are holding hands.
They do.
I like it. These girls are fun,
This is another hard pick, folks.
but yet driven
Yes.
and
Nicole
capable.
is seeing herself in Bernie and Kerrigan.
Yes. And for that reason, that's where I rank them.
Okay. I'm going to go with my number 5, Carson and Jack. You guys had already talked about them. Josh at number 8. Nicole at number 12. Wow, big disparity there.
I knew you would rank them high.
You know what? It's the 2 male team. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Okay? It's undeniable. I don't see them as like an Anthony and Bailey from last season, the kind of surfer airhead guys from Florida that I know I ranked way too high. I couldn't put these guys any higher. I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons and streamers, like, are they getting out? Are they going anywhere in life?
Point.
Like,
No, they're not.
I mean, I just, if you put them at 12 for that, like, I understand. But I do think that people are going to really like them. They're not just like, I'm just sitting in front of a computer and playing Minecraft, which was my first judgment of them. Because I saw a game streamer and I was like, oh gosh, what does that mean? But no, once you do a little more digging, there's some funny guys here. They have a sense of humor. They have a point of view in the way they kind of see things and present things. They too did a photo shoot.
Wow.
Okay? There was a photo shoot.
I would have not expected that.
I know. Neither did I.
Wow.
That was why once I saw that, it was like,
Yep, put them up.
okay, these guys get it.
I agree.
And maybe they just get the social media angle of the race, like Han and Holden. The one, they were just sitting on top of a lot of luggage. And the other one, one of them was a captain and one of them was the stewardess.
Hilarious.
And then there was the thing about a premiere party. So, like, they're kind of entertainers and they kind of bring people together with their streams, I assume. And they have, their Instagram is @DweebWars. So they know who they are. I think all the things you said, Josh, like they work together well by choice. You know, they lose me a little bit. It's hard for me to understand that they're making this as like their Dungeon and Dragon adventure and they're going on their quest. You kind of lose me there because I played sports. So I landed at number 5, sleeper, Carson and Jack.
My number 5 is Ernest and Bridget. Her dad was her superhero. I also am getting Ron and Christina vibes, where he kind of leads the team. But what I thought was interesting with Ron and Christina is that they kind of like bickered, but it got them through the race. I think some of the questions is like, is he going to see her as an adult or as a little girl? I wrote down who surrenders control.
Yes.
And I think that that's going to be their power dynamic. That's going to be them trying to figure it out. And what we saw with Christina and Ron is like, Ron, he struggled a lot, but he did at some points let her lead. And I think the key to them doing well is going to be Ernest kind of being able to step back and say she should do this. And I guess we'll probably learn first episode if that's going to be the case. But I'm banking on it. I think that they're also really fun. In one of the promos I saw, they were literally rapping in the back seat. I was like, these people, I could see them staying in the race longer than I would have expected. So, number 5.
Okay, so we've reached our top 4, and it seems like we all have at least 3 of the same names up there. So, the 3 names that we're all kind of fishing around with are Mark and Brett, Alyssa and Josiah, and
Nick
and Mike.
We've all been doing this long enough to know that those are top contenders.
First of all, it's the double male teams of Nick and Mike and Mark and Brett. It's just hard to find a weakness in them. Age, life experience, fitness, even the jobs they do. They're both super fans of the show. They're married, they're young, but they're not kids.
Yeah.
And they're kind of right in that
sweet spot.
They're
in their prime for Amazing Race.
Yeah, physically fit. I think all 3 teams are good looking too. Like there's something about just like we're also, another thing to analyze is we're in our 30s and like fit, right? And so these might be the 3 teams that we most connect with and say we think that they're going to do the best, which I think is also really interesting.
That's a good point.
I think you're right. I think we kind of see ourselves easily in them. And I would say even in my top 4.
All right.
Number 4.
Number 4, this is where I put Scott and Lori.
Okay.
I have a lot of faith in Scott and Lori.
Yes.
I like them. Okay?
Yeah.
I like them.
I could have put them at 4 too.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I love them.
I like that they are married parents of 8 boys. Not just 8 kids, 8 boys. That house is mayhem.
Right.
And yet, this woman is keeping the show running.
She's the CEO.
Okay? I imagine this woman in an airport.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Whatever the issue is,
You're right.
she's making it happen.
Pitbull.
She's a pit bull. Okay? But yet, I think she's probably a Mormon, so she's going to do it in a nice way.
Absolutely.
She's going to kill everyone with kindness.
That's very smart. But that's what you need on this race.
Exactly.
Totally.
Exactly. That's why she's number 4.
Could she be the MVP of the season?
She could be.
What?
She could be.
What?
She could be. Also,
I think she really could.
the organizational piece.
Yeah.
I think about 8 sons. How many
Forget it.
carpools are happening
Forget it.
to keep that show running?
Forget it.
She's making it happen, though.
It feels like Kim and Penn, how like part of their great success was Kim was the CEO, the note keeper, the organizer.
Yeah.
And I feel like Lori is in that same vein.
Scott's a PA. He's going to be a smart guy.
Yes.
Clear frame glasses.
Clear from glasses. And I think that they will handle stress well.
Totally. An airport, come to our house.
Right. This
I love this.
This is a vacation for them.
Yes.
Okay?
Josh, number 4.
My number 4 is Brett and Mark. I think the top 4 is really hard, and I could easily see them winning, right? But I think I just saw them as a little bit older than the other teams. They do kind of have, like, I don't know, Will and James vibes a little bit.
Absolutely.
Just in their kind of, like, compatibility with each other, but also being physically fit. I thought that being dancers means you're quick learners. And you'd be able to absorb the information and understand what the intention is, and then also be able to act on it quickly while being physical. And I think that that's a really strong quality throughout this race.
Okay, number 4 for me, I had Alyssa and Josiah, married for 2 years, in their 30s, both nurse anesthetists, just like Amber and Vinny. Vinny Two Guns from season 36. I don't see the same kind of combative relationship that Vinny and Amber had. I see a stronger relationship here in these 2. Everything about them, they could have been easily in the top 2.
Yeah.
I put them in the contenders category at number 4. I mean, they're competitive. They like to travel. They probably got money. They probably have great flexible jobs that allows them to go travel and see the world. They both watched the show as kids. I'm all in on this team. I easily, like I said, I could have put them higher, but I landed on them at 4.
I had them as number 3. All the same reasons. Love that they're newlyweds. I love that they're millennials. I love that they're...
Generational, yeah.
Yes.
Shout out.
I love that they're both nurse anesthetists. Again, we have this. But again, I agree. I think they're going to be the better version of Amber and Vinny.
The evolved Amber and Vinny 2.0.
Yep.
And I think that they're both going to be people that actually read the clue.
Yeah.
They seem like they are going to have a good attention to detail, problem-solving skills.
Totally.
I'm all in on them.
It would be shocking to see them with an early exit.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Josh, number 3?
Yeah, same. I also had Alyssa and Josiah. Physically strong. All the same things you said. I think that they're physically strong. I think one additional thing to say is that she played D1 soccer.
Oh!
Yeah, so she is physically very fit.
Damn, I wish I put them higher now.
Yeah. And Josiah says she is the smarter one. which I think is an interesting dynamic too. Just that he's willing to blatantly say that she runs the ship. And I think once you understand your role in the relationship, you are actually a better communicator. I also see them going far. Top 3 is hard. It means you made it to the final episode, and so I could see any of these 3 teams winning.
I went with Jonathan and Anna.
Jonathan and Anna?
Yeah.
That's wild.
What?
That's wild.
Are you regretting that now?
No, I think that this is a product of, like, if you just look at them and, like, Josiah and Alyssa,
Yeah.
like, they're kind of in the same vein. They're a little bit older. Anna speaks Spanish. I like that he's really competitive. I like that he's athletic. I like that she's a little bit spicy. I think she would describe herself as that. Like, they live in LA, and they have a YouTube channel, and they're on The Amazing Race, and they're doing things on their YouTube channel together. And I think they're, like, trying to build this other pathway in life. And they kind of, you know who they really reminded me of, and this is why I also stuck them number 3, is Team Croqueta. Lewis and Michelle. He was the firefighter, and she was the pit bull dancer. I kind of get that same kind of vibe and energy from them.
Dale.
I like, again, competitive. I like that. Yeah, shout out Pitbull. I think if you ran it 1,000 times, I don't think they win as much as my next 2, and maybe even Alyssa and Josiah.
Wow.
Jonathan and Anna, I know I got them highest, so maybe they'll be my winner pick and help me win this season. Or maybe it'll fail in spectacular fashion, but I don't know. I'm believing in the competitiveness. Josh, number 2.
All right. So, contrary to Nicole's opinions, I have Han and Holden.
Wow.
Number 2. I actually think that their lightheartedness, but also rivalry against each other, is going to make them both compete even stronger.
Wow.
Are you serious with this, number 2?
I think that they are smart. Phil said that Holden is a wise old soul. Holden knows that Han kind of runs the ship. They just seem really cool to me. Cool. I think they seem
Josh
cool.
is in on Team Asian Swag.
You think Team Asian Swag is cool?
Listen, I'll tell you that when I heard that they have Team Asian Swag as their handle, it told me they're not going out first. They're not.
They're not. Right.
They're in it. They're
definitely not going out first.
They're not going out first. They're going to be way further than you think. They are going to be way.
I can't wait for them to lose.
Than you think. So I see them as number 2. I also want to shout out their
insane.
non-white, non-purple, but lavender maybe.
Yeah.
Exactly. What even is their color? Even their color is.
I know.
It's brilliant.
Bleh.
They're gonna go far. They're gonna do great.
You love that color. You have many garments that color. What are you talking about?
I'm not on the race.
Okay, fair enough. Nicole, number 2, who you got?
Number 2, I have Brett and Mark. I was getting Will and James vibes from them.
Yeah.
I love that they're dancers and acrobats, performers. Recently, the past few seasons have been very heavy on the performing arts challenges, as opposed to the more physical challenges. There's a lot of physically fit people who can lift very heavy things, but can they dance? Can they sing? Can they act? Can they remember choreography? That's been very important in the race, and I think these guys are going to pick that up no problem. To me, ultimately, they just seem like competitors.
Yep.
They are very serious about it. They want it.
My number 2, I think, is going to be different than both of you. I have Nick and Mike. If you ran the race 1,000 times, these guys are winning a bunch of them. I don't see a weakness. They clearly have a great relationship. They work together. They grew up together as brothers. Like, they've been trying to get on for years. They watched this as kids. Like they're going to come in so prepared, and they don't have a real weakness. They gave me Dusty and Ryan from Kim and Penn season, but minus Dusty's explosions. I just think that like these guys are a little bit more chill, and they're going to work through everything. And I think people are going to like them. They're good looking. They're confident. They probably had many successes in their life. Their podcast was Brolosophy, which I was like, oh man, are they like kind of the meatheads? But Brolosophy has been rebranded into the Best Self Pod. So
a much better rebrand.
Yeah, come on. Come on. That's called maturity. That's called growing up. That's called like getting into.
You have $1 million and you could rebrand your podcast.
But bam! Now we're talking.
Well, my number one was Nick and Mike, for all the reasons you said. But in addition to that, I think these two guys, their biggest asset is going to be their ability to schmooze. They look like they would be able to schmooze their way through an airport, through anything, any situation. People are going to like them. They're going to form alliances with other teams.
And they're going to need to, because people are going to come after them.
Yeah.
Yes. And these are people who are very serious about wanting to win the race. They've got it.
He's 28 years old and he's been applying for 7 years. Phil said it's one of his favorite teams ever. Ever.
That's high praise.
That is huge. Frame that. Right? I think they have genuine passion. They are brothers. They do care very much. They're excited to be there. I think there was a promo I saw of them like on the first day, just like, we're on the Amazing Race. And I could see myself doing that too. And so I guess, I partially envy them. But
all-male, strong guy teams.
I said that as I was ranking, right? I said, like, putting another all-male team at the top, and I just think they're going to win.
How can you not put them up there?
Yes.
The only way it won't happen, and maybe this will just completely destroy the ranking system going forward in future seasons, is if there are some major twists and this game becomes a little bit more like Survivor and goes away from that, just don't finish last. Close it out. My number one. You guys had them high as well, but I have Brett and Mark. Brett and Mark, to me, are bulletproof. They live in Vegas. They're performers. Brett is in Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't care if it's a physical lifting thing or any physical fitness challenge. These guys are ripped. They are going to destroy it. Like Juan and Shane. When they like came back and they did the wheelbarrow thing on the beach and they like overtook everybody, I could easily see these guys doing that. Ultimately, gay couples, 2 men, just have success. They are extremely successful. These guys have probably traveled a ton in their life. Ricky and Cesar, Will and James, John and Greg. Like, male teams in general win. These guys are right in that same vein, are they not? This is my favorite quote I saw of any of them. Quote, we are very competitive. Quote, we like to have fun when competing. Quote, we can destroy our friends and laugh about it. Like, game over.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah.
Like, they bonded over the show. They dreamed of racing. They're huge fans. That's it. Put them number one. That's it for the power rankings. 14-1. We did it.
Let's watch.
It's time to watch episode 1.